art thou the King of the Jews?
My kingdom is not of this world.
That's right, brothers and sisters. His kingdom is not of this world. Brothers and sisters, welcome back once again to another program. I'm your host, Troy, and let's talk about a few things. First of all, Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight that I should not be delivered to the Jews? But now is my kingdom not from hence." His kingdom is coming. So, let's see, how do I put this? A few years back, and this is one of the things, what do they call when you think something was a certain way? Oh my goodness, what's that called? The Mandela effect. That's what I was thinking of, the Mandela effect. See, let me tell you guys something. I'm barely 50, so some of you, I looked at my demographics, my analytics, my statistics on YouTube, and do you know the majority of my watchers, my viewers and listeners are 65 and older. And then the other ones are, I think, 50 and over, or 45 and over, I believe. So the majority of us here on this platform, I would say 60 to 70% are my age and older. So you guys can empathize, and we love you guys, you millennials, and you Generation Y, Generation Z, and all those in between below. We love you guys. I want younger people and those in their 30s and 40s to come as well, 20s, 30s, and 40s, and all ages. But I can't help it. Most of my audience is 65 and over. So you guys can empathize with me when I say that I get brain farts or whatever you want to call them, and I have to Google things because I forget words, and that's why you see a lot of editing, because I don't like looking at myself and I'm just taking way too long to think of the right word, and it frustrates me because my RAM in my brain, or whatever you call it, when we were younger, we had a little guy that can, in our brain, that can run back there, grab anything off the shelf and bring it to the front, and we use it, right? Vocabulary words, whatever, spit it out, right? Phrases, recalling anything. Well, that doesn't happen as quickly as it used to with me. All right, so where are we going with this? Mandela effect. Okay, so I remember 5 years ago, 3 to 5 years, not even 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I was able to Google something on YouTube and come across this hidden secret video, and it was real, it wasn't made up, where the CIA was actually talking. This was like a boardroom of other CIA guys. It could have been FBI, but I think it was CIA. And they were talking about prayer, and I think it was about Afghanistan and how they're scientists, they're specialists in this field that study the brain for the government, coming up with a way to study the part of the brain that is active when you're praying. But they wanted to control that, I think, and the religious zealots and the zealous part of the brain, which can also tap into the pious side, and whatever is going on active in the brain during the time of us communicating with God. Now, I firmly believe that they can't stop that. They might be able to damper something physically, but I know this sounds crazy. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe in conspiracies, and I do believe that there are things that are really happening in the world. that is out of our control, and hidden things and things that we don't know about yet, or maybe never will. But don't discredit, disregard, don't brush off those who talk about things that you might think is wacko, because there's a lot of things today that we believe that you hear it now in the mainstream media. 3 or 4 years ago, they were calling those same people that were talking about those things whack jobs and crazy loons, right? Okay, so what am I saying here? I couldn't find the video, but the video exists, okay? And there was a CIA. I watched it. They are studying, what is it called? The ventromedial prefrontal cortex. I believe that's what it is. That might mean something to you, and most of you, it probably doesn't. But let's study this. Let's get into it. Let's figure it out. So what I'm about to read right now might have no connection with this CIA video that I saw before. So it does exist. I'm not a loon. But it is connected in some way. So let's read this, react upon it, talk about it, expound on it, and go from there. Okay, so study finds link between brain damage and religious fundamentalism. Okay, do you see where we're going with this? Do you see where this can take us as human beings, as citizens of the United States, citizens of the free world? We're basically explaining away why people are pious or zealous for Christ or God. An underlying reason why, because fundamentalism isn't necessarily a bad thing. But let's see what they're talking about here. A new study finds a connection between brain lesions and the ability of a person to consider other beliefs. Okay. Scientists found that damage in a certain part of the brain is linked to an increase in religious fundamentalism. Okay, this is Big Think, neuropsychology. Who wrote this article? Paul Ratner. Okay. Linked to religious fundamentalism. In particular, lesions in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex reduced cognitive flexibility, the ability to challenge our beliefs based on new evidence. The researchers, led by Jordan Grafman of Northwestern University, utilized data gathered from Vietnam War veterans as part of the Vietnam Head Injury Study. Okay, so the main thing here, so the connection here is right here, I believe, with this the video that I saw before that was kind of spooky. It was unnerving. It was unsettling. Okay. They compared levels of religious fundamentalism between 119 vets who had lesions and 30 veterans who didn't. This might be the same thing I'm talking about. The study, except they were studying, I think the CIA was studying, it wasn't so much about Christians that they were they were talking about fundamentalism, but not Christianity, another religion. You guys know what I'm talking about over there in the Middle East and Afghanistan. Okay, the study further confirms that the prefrontal cortex is associated with religious beliefs and is the latest in a number of recent studies that look to find the neurological basis for religion. So we need to find a neurological base for religion, not a spiritual base. Not saying that we are not just metaphysical beings, but we also possess a spirit that also thinks, that also can live on after this body. The variation in the nature of religious beliefs are governed by specific brain areas in the anterior parts of the human brain, and those brain areas are among the most recently evolved areas of the human brain, said Grafman. How free these areas are from disease, in particular the part known as the Dorsolateral prefrontal cortex may determine a person's mental openness, necessary to appreciate the diversity of religious thought. The prefrontal cortex was previously linked to having a cognitive function in spiritual experiences. And there it is right there, folks. The prefrontal cortex, medial prefrontal cortex, right here. So this part of the prefrontal cortex. This is the prefrontal cortex that we're talking about. This part is our God part, according to science. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex, right here. The scientists specify that they are not stating religious people overall are mentally inflexible or that belief is caused by brain damage. There are many cognitive processes involved in forming beliefs. But in some people, the system of belief revision may become suppressed due to brain damage. So I guess we can look at this with an open mind, right? And be positive about this and not be so narrow-minded, as they say that people with this damage are like that. So am I just experiencing some damage there as I'm being narrow-minded about this? I am open-minded to studying. I mean, there are some bad fundamentalist groups out there, but I don't think it has anything to do with brain damage. Because what's next? They could say, well, these people, the reason this religion exists is because they all experience this in their ventromedial prefrontal cortex, right? The researchers define fundamentalism as a cognitive approach that embodies adherence to a set of firm religious beliefs, advocating unassailable truths about human existence. They write in their paper that the appeal of such a rigid way of thinking is in promoting coherence and predictability within a religious group. People in fundamentalism groups tend to value strong commitment to their community. That's us, Latter-day Saints, right? Rejection of other beliefs. Well, we don't reject other beliefs. We love other religions, but we believe ours is the true Church of Jesus Christ. So I guess that could be us too. Often combined with science denial and violence. Okay, we do deny some science. I don't think we're violent, but what is deemed violent today? Hate speech, and what would they call, when I say they, I mean those on the left or the woke crowd, or maybe this crowd. I don't know much about this study, so maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but we're gonna take a look at this. We're gonna, peel the onion back, right? Deliberation becomes victim to conviction. The scientists themselves point out the limitations of their study and call for more research into the subject. Grafman notes that the fact that the sample was all male American veterans, certainly not representative of all the demographic and cultural groups. This study contributes to a growing body of knowledge about how religious experiences are formed in the brain. We need to understand how distinct religious beliefs are from moral, legal, political, and economic beliefs in their representations in the brain, the nature of conversion from one belief system to another, the difference between belief and agency, and the nature of the depth of knowledge that individuals use to access and report their beliefs. Okay, so Grafman, is this limited to religious beliefs? What about scientific beliefs? What about agnostic beliefs? What about those who are firm believers in not believers in God, like atheists, or those who believe, I only believe in science kind of guys? I mean, could they have that ventromedial prefrontal cortex problems too? And the nature of the depth of knowledge that individuals use to access and report their beliefs. You can read the study, biological and cognitive underpinnings of religious fundamentalism here in the journal Neuropsychologia. So interesting stuff there, huh? Doctrine and Covenants, section 89, verse 4. Behold, verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, in consequence of evils and designs which do and will exist in the hearts of conspiring men in the last days, I have warned you and forewarn you by giving unto you this word of wisdom by revelation. What is this word of wisdom? I know it goes a lot further than just the word of wisdom that we know today. He mentions evil and conspiring men. Brothers and sisters, you're not an evil fundamentalist if you believe in God, if you believe in the doctrines of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying that study necessarily is saying that, but what's next? We're connecting. Science has the goal. Some science out there could possibly be trying to find an underlying reason, an ancillary cause to belief in God, piousness, prayer, good fundamentalism, good orthodoxy, good traditionalism, and who knows, maybe some of these people are members of the church who work in these fields.